Right, let's talk Shogun episode 2. My god, this show is so good. This show is so good. If you haven't watched episode 1 on my recommendation, because I did my review yesterday, please do go and watch it. It's absolutely incredible. I don't think you'll be disappointed. There's a lot of, some people thought it was a little bit slow here and there. It's got to set the stage. And it wasn't that slow, in my view anyway. Pacing's good. This is good. I love this show. I genuinely love this show. We're seeing so much sort of internal feudal Japan politics going on. It's just crazy. Now again, if you don't know, as a quick bit of backstory, this is a remake or an adaptation, a readaptation of a novel. It was adapted before, I think in the 70s or the 80s, can't remember when. But it's also based on a real person, real events, things which actually did occur. They did happen. There was an Englishman called the Anjin, a pilot, a seafaring navigator, right? These things did actually occur. This is clearly a dramatization and, things like that. But they are based on events. So what happens? Well, we find our Anjin being brought towards Tokunaga. I'm going to butcher some of these names because I'm doing it off the top of my head. And there's the internal struggle of the Westerners in Japan. So you've got the Portuguese, and then obviously the Englishman's found himself there. And obviously they're at war. They hate one another. They're at war. It's not good. But that's the translator is the Portuguese. That is the only one that can translate for the Englishman to the Japanese, was what they call them in the show. Japanese. And what we're seeing is a lot of internal politics, but really, really good. So the politics between each regent. We get a couple of years before. So we've the regent of all regents, the guy who's controlling everyone. He obviously passes away and dies, but he's speaking to Hiroyuki Sanada's, I think his name is Tokunaga's character. And he offers him the prospect of ruling in his stead to look after, as a placeholder, so his heir, when he comes of age, to then take over. And he's like, no, you're just going to put a price on my head, and I'm not doing that. Oh no. And then obviously we flash forward to the current day events, and we know what's going on, and it's just so great. The swordplay in this is epic. There's heads rolling left, right, and centre. There's daggers being wielded. It's brilliant. This is great. They're not shying away from anything. Nothing's being shied away from. Even sort of the politics between Protestant and Catholics. So the different elements of Christianity and how they were at war with one another for things like that as well. It's great. It's so, so good. And the set pieces are mind-blowing. They really are mind-blowing. So, so good. And what I like about this is it really is that, I guess, the sort of physical elements that manifest themselves based upon the politics of individuals. So our character Blackthorne figures out that the Portuguese have mercenaries. They've got Ronin. They've got their own army base camps, and clearly are going to lay siege to the Japanese. So he's going to use that to his advantage, and you can see this plotting that's going on. Some people didn't like his voice. Fine, that's personal preference. It's subjective, I guess. But I really quite like the actor that's playing Blackthorne, because you can see there's nuance in his performance. You can see the cogs turning in his head on certain bits and pieces, and I really like that. But then it's not just that. So you've got, sort of twists within twists. You've got one of the individuals that was working for Tokunaga. Again, I'm probably butchering that name. And he's playing a game as well with Ishido. So Ishido, again, I'm trying to remember these names. Ishido is the head regent, I guess, at this point. He's plotting against Tokunaga, Hiroyuki Sanada's character. But he realizes that basically he tries to get the Englishman freed, but it's also a benefit to Tokunaga as well, because the Englishman uses it to his benefit to address Hiroyuki Sanada's character about the Portuguese army bases that he learns about. So it's this sort of intricate weaving net of all these sort of politic elements, but so good. And it sort of culminates in an assassin, a maid trying to assassinate Blackthorne, the Englishman. And it's just brutal. There's blood flying everywhere. It's, yeah, great. But again, who did a really good job of playing the field, playing their games? Tokunaga had given his accommodation to Blackthorne that evening, clearly knowing that there would be an attempt either on his life or Blackthorne's life, and he wanted to figure out who was plotting what and doing what. And that's amazing. So good. That is honestly just politics within politics, but in an absolutely fantastic way. And it is interesting to see that some of the regents had obviously converted to Christianity as well. And it is, I mean, that's interesting. It's an interesting element of that time period. You know, Christian missionaries were going around the world. People were just converting to Christianity here, there, and everywhere. And it's fascinating to see. But it's not shown in a way... It's not done in a way, for those that are concerned anyway, done in a way which would be offensive or insulting to Christians. That's not what it's doing. But it is showing the historical things which had come to pass within Japan. You know, people were traditionally Buddhists, and then had found Christianity as well, converted to Christianity. So they have their lord plus their lord within, you know, the regent sort of lord. And the sort of elements between the two. Where does your loyalties lie? It's great. Episode 2 was fantastic. I'm really looking forward to episode 3. It's out today. So it's out, I think they're out every Tuesday if I remember rightly. So I'm going to be watching that either tonight or tomorrow. Giving you my review on that shortly. I know I'm a bit delayed on this, so I do apologise. But I'm enjoying it. Barely anyone's watching these reviews. Like the last one got like 4,000 views, which is terrible. But I'm still going to keep reviewing it because it's a great show. Hopefully, you guys will stay tuning into it and keeping the views, at the very least, at the 4,000 mark. That would be great. But I don't have anything else to say on this. If you've watched it, love to hear your thoughts on episode 2. It's infinitely better than episode 1. And episode 1 was great. Man boiled alive. Jesus Christ. It's a great show. It's well worth your time. Well worth your time. So leave your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to episode 3? Again, please no spoilers, ladies and gents. And I tried to keep the spoilers to a minimum-ish in this episode. It is difficult to review these shows without discussing spoilers, because the thing is, from the first episode, you can discuss all the technical elements, and then outside of that, it is just spoilers, because the technical elements are not going to change week on, week out when they're great, generally. So anyway, sorry if there were some spoilers. I do apologise. It wasn't meant that way. I try to keep them to a minimum. But yeah, anyway, cheers guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.